Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. And I am your host, Patricia Baker. I am here with my co-host, PK. How are you tonight? I see you got the beautiful desert behind you.
Yes, I do. I thought it would be a nice change. Now people don't have to ask where I am.
That's right. In the desert.
That's right.
Hey, we're
beautiful day today in the low 80s.
Well, I'm very jealous. We're freezing again here in New England.
Oh, it'll be cold again, but for the moment, it's not so bad.
Yeah,
so I would put my headset on like a good girl, and everything set up like this before when you started changing my mind of what I was supposed to do, and I'm going,
I know it's at last minute. It does create a little panic. Yes. But anyways, what do you have for us tonight with the numbers? What's going on?
Well, this is a 1 month, and a 1 month is always important because it's about the new beginnings. It's reviewing what's been going on, but it's giving us an opportunity to really deal with some fresh starts. Regardless of what our personal month is, in a 1 month, it's all about new beginnings. And all the thoughts of the new beginnings is, what could I do for me for a change? Usually we're trying to make everything else happy for everybody else. But this month, it's going to be very interesting because it needs to be where we take control of what we're doing and how we're doing it to make it better. And the month gives us a pretty good peek at some peaks and valleys of what's been transpiring over this beginning of this year. But the 1 month gives us opportunities to make it our way. Do what you think is right. Put it together. Start going forward with it. And if you do that, you'll find that you've got pretty well a good path to start for what's going to transpire for the rest of the year. Oh, it doesn't matter what your personal year is. A 1 month gives us new beginnings. So if we take advantage of it, it's going to make it a beautiful, beautiful year.
Oh, that sounds like a plan. I'm happy to hear new beginnings. It's been kind of crazy so far.
Oh, understatement.
All the political stuff and all the criminal and civil judgment stuff, it's insane. So it's nice to take a break from all of that reality mishmash and do some fun things tonight, which is what we're going to do because, this is one of my favorite topics, dreams.
Definitely.
Love talking about dreams. And we have a fabulous guest all the way from the UK. She is staying up super late just for us.
That's sweet. She is so special.
I know. And her book, Dream Dictionary, has everything you need. Everything about dream interpretation. Mm-hmm. You have a symbol, you want to find out what it means. That's what you get, Dream Dictionary. So let me tell you and everybody a little bit more about our guest tonight. Theresa Cheung is an internationally best-selling spiritual author, public speaker, and is regarded as one of the world's leading dream decoders, listed by Watkins as one of the 100 most spiritually influential living people. She works closely with scientists and neuroscientists researching consciousness and is the media go-to person for expert opinions on dreams, intuition, afterlife, all our favorite things, and paranormal. After nearly 3 decades of publishing numerous popular books, has well and truly earned the title, the British Grande of matter psychic and mystical. So welcome to the show, Theresa.
Welcome. Thank you so much, PK and Patricia. It's an absolute dream to be here. It really is. And it's so worth staying up late for that introduction. I felt like I was going into a dream. It was wonderful.
You sweet daughter, you.
I've never had that before. But the graphics for your show, wow, I love them.
Thank you so much. We worked long and hard on it, didn't we, PK?
Fantastic. It's fun. I wish I could do something like that in the UK.
Oh, gosh. Well, your book is terrific, and it's one of many. But first, let's start with you personally. How did you get involved with all of this?
Oh, well, I was born into it. I was born into a family of traveling spiritualists and psychics in the UK. I was home educated, but I was born in a family where it was commonplace to dream decode, consult astrology charts, to go to mediumship demonstrations from a very young age. And I was lucky enough to get a place at King's College, Cambridge, where I read religion. I was home educated, and I went to Cambridge thinking everybody was like that, because that was what my family was like. Oh my goodness, did I have a shock with skepticism. And I soon learned to shut up about my passion for dreams. But those years, those academic years, were important for me because I was able to see all opinions, all different opinions, and learn to approach the subject with more academic discipline than just I believe. And that sort of stood me in good stead. When I left Cambridge, I've been blessed to have opportunity after opportunity to write books about personal and spiritual growth, psychic abilities, where the science is at. And I've been doing this for 30 years now. And the Dream Dictionary, actually, you mentioned, it is my most popular book. I actually wrote that in the late 1990s, and it's been reissued ever since. It's become a bit of a classic, and every few years I reissue it because obviously we dream about different things, right? Because dreams reflect. That's really me. I'm born into a family belief strong in the invisible world, and then my belief was challenged by the academic voices that surrounded me when I was getting my degree. And then I returned back home. And now I write about my passion. And really, I guess my life is trying to understand my family as well and understand this mysterious world we live in.
What a blessing. What a blessing. I am so jealous that you have such an understanding and forward-thinking family. That's remarkable. Now, so many people we talk to on this show, as PK, you'll back me up in this, they didn't have that kind of support. Very few. Right? Maybe just we could count them on one hand. And we've been doing this since 2013, so many years. But most people were just standalones in their family. They had a rough road because of it. But what a difference when you have a family that backs you up and encourages you like they did.
Well, it was just commonplace. I mean, basically getting up in the morning and talking about your dreams to your family members. You know, somebody passes on and it's accepted that that person is still alive in spirit. You still talk to them, have a place saved for them at the table. That was how I grew up. I mean, it was a very sheltered life, really. As I said, it was a big shock when I went out into the world and realized that, people don't talk like that.
That's always a surprise, isn't it?
I was fortunate, and I wanted to do my thesis on dreaming and all that, and oh my goodness, no. Even though dreams do feature in all the major world religions, you know, but I'm glad to say this is changing, and I've noticed in the last few years with shows like yours, and there's so much now. It's becoming much more mainstream. When I was writing decades ago, my publishers at the time, and I was very fortunate, I was with HarperCollins, I was with big major publishing houses, but when my books came out about the psychic world or dreams or, you know, birthday profiles according to astrology, they never promoted them. It was almost like, is this a bit embarrassing?
Oh, my goodness.
It's sold. And, you know,
so you were like the redheaded stepchild. They're like, just keep you in the corner for now.
It was only really, actually, I've only started, as you can see, I was very much an invisible writer because I very much believe I put all these books out and did my research that when the person is ready, they will find me. And I was very much like that until the pandemic struck, when we had all these lockdowns. And then suddenly what happened is during the lockdowns, a lot of people went within and started to want to understand their inner space as never before. People were dreaming vividly during the lockdowns. It was a terrible time for the whole world.
Yes.
And then suddenly that's when the media started to approach me as never before. I was ready to retire. I'd written about 100 books. I was just doing talks. And then suddenly it was like I was hosting national dream decodings with ITV and going on BBC Radio. And it was crazy. It was like everybody sort of woke up to the fact, oh, my goodness, there's a mysterious part of us that we don't understand because all the material things had shut down for a while. I mean, if there was any positive about the pandemic, that was that we all paused. And
that's true. That's what happened. Yeah. People were forced a little more inward because the big frustrations for us as hosts and talking about tools that people can use. I mean, PK is an expert in numerology. I'm also a dream interpreter. So, but people are lazy, are they not? And you talk to them about even find your birth number. It's like,
it's difficult.
Yeah, and say, what's my birth number, rather than go to her website where she has all this great information and they can figure it out for themselves. And for dreams, I mean, oh, God forbid somebody has to write something in a journal like the morning.
You are so right. I'm on a mission, though, to get everybody to wake up with dream recall on their mind, because I think even if you aren't spiritual, it's a sign of a very active, creative brain, right? And there's so much of the world's things, inventions, great works of art and literature have been inspired by a vision in a dream. So that's how I usually actually try and entice people in, saying it's a great creativity hack. And also, sorry to go on a tangent a bit, but one of the reasons I guess I had these opportunities to go on mainstream media over here in the UK was because I'd written so extensively about dreams. And I have found, I don't know if you find that is the topic that they're perhaps more willing to talk to you about than maybe astrology, afterlife, angels. Dreams, everybody, even the most skeptical person has had that dream. They have no idea what it means. And they may scoff at my interpretation or what I say, but they still want to talk to me about their dreams. But they may not necessarily do it about the afterlife, which is much more controversial. But dreams, as even scientists now are coming out with studies saying that dream recall is good for your well-being and a sign of emotional and mental well-being. It's really good for you to work with your dreams. Therapists use it. I have found that when I am given an opportunity to go on, say, ITV This Morning or whatever, to dream decode, I keep it very much like this is your intuition talking to you. And if I do it like that, it's much more acceptable, rather than me saying using words like channeling or the universe or source and all that. I've learned very much to try and get this message across in a more mainstream way, because as soon as people start dream decoding, they suddenly start to understand that they are more than their bodies. And that's what I really want. So it's a way to open the door to much, much more. I think dream work is the great first step. So I focus a lot on that.
Yes, and it's powerful. And it always amazed me how many people would leave that kind of information on the table. And it's like personal power is right there. And it's for you to have and enjoy and use. And it just sits there. But I'll tell you, through the years when I was a therapist and I did a lot of this work, the people who were dedicated to it, and I'm sure you found the same thing, and you too, PK, in numerology, whatever they're dedicated to, and they work it for a period of time, they become very powerful in their own lives. I mean, you just watch them just succeed because they're working with their own personal power, however you get there. But dreams, that's easy.
It's a reminder when you wake up that, as I said, there's more to you than your body and even your mind. You feel richer, more alive. And I actually have got to the stage now when waking up with a fantastic dream is actually more exciting than what's going on if I get another book deal or whatever. And when I go through a period of poor dream recall, I actually feel very sad. I want to reconnect with that inner power. That is becoming more exciting to me than what I do externally. And I have to be careful I don't go too far the other way. I do think balance is important between the material and the spiritual. And I'm sure you find that sometimes what you're doing is so engrossing, like the numerology and the astrology, you can just completely lose yourself in it. And forget to turn the oven off or something, you know. Or, and I love the fact if I have a dream, like, you know, several dreams, and I can return to them in the day. And each time, like a great work of art, I always describe dreams like a great work of art or poetry. Every time you read your favorite poem or look at your favorite work of art, new insights come. That's the mark of a great work of art, isn't it? That every time you come to it, and at different ages and stages in your life, when you look at it again, it yields fresh insight. And it's the same with a dream. And that's why I sometimes look back to my dreams when I was like a teenager, or, you know, or decades ago. It's fascinating because not only can I see what I needed to learn through my dreams, but I can also see some foreshadowing in my dreams. And that's where I'm actually, at the moment, my research into dream work. And I think a lot of dream workers are interested in this. It's the precognitive potential of dreams showcasing a potential future. There's the future kind of looking back at you in your dreams. I find that really interesting. And I had the opportunity to collaborate with one of the world's leading experts in presentiment. That's Dr. Julia Mossbridge. She's a neuroscientist, and we co-authored a book called The Premonition Code, where we looked at, precognition as a fact, as a reality, because there's overwhelming statistical evidence to suggest that it happens. It happens when you're awake. You sense through the body, through the gut and the heart often. But if it can happen when you're awake, as there are many studies showing that it can, of course it can happen in the dream state even more when ego, logic and reason are asleep, because they're all the barriers often, aren't they, to intuition and creativity. And that's so wonderful about dreams, is that logic and reason are the only things missing in the dream state, really. And when logic and reason are absent, you can make creative connections that you simply can't do in the waking state. And I also believe you can potentially connect to your timeless self, where your past, present and future merge, and get glimpses of potential futures. And I'm doing a lot of research in that area at the moment.
That's very exciting. We've had some interesting guests like you on the show, but they have been focused in certain areas. There was a media person we had on. I believe she was a news producer. I can't remember her name, but she wrote a book called Dreams That Can Save Your Life. And she had breast cancer like 3 times, something horrible. But remember this one, PK?
Yes, I do.
Dreams that told her the cancer came back. She'd go back to her doctor. Her doctor would tell her, no, that's not true. And then she would insist on a certain kind of test that came through a dream. Enough, they found the cancer, and it would have only been found with that particular test. So there's so much valuable information like that people can get through their dreams. But I have a question for you, because one thing I noticed with my clients with dreams is that if they were having a dream about some type of cataclysm, like a natural cataclysm, like a tornado or something like that, I knew for a fact that they were coming into a very serious illness. Always. Those dreams were always telling them the same thing. Do you find that?
I do. I get a lot of people writing to me about their dreams, obviously, because I've written over the years about them, and I do leave my email address in my books, actually. So I spend a lot of my time actually answering people and trying to help them understand their dreams. And yes, there is a theme: natural disasters, tornadoes, cyclones, tsunamis. Usually it suggests there's some great turmoil going on currently in their life, or soon will be. And there is a connection often between emotional turmoil and illness. Not always, though. Sometimes I think it suggests, the dreaming mind, in my opinion, is suggesting that they need to shed a mindset that is no longer working for them. Everything needs to be thrown up in the air for it to fall into place. And sometimes that can be a very positive thing. So, because I've learned over the years, when people write to me, I never, ever tell them, even if I might think it, because I'm not the best interpreter of their dream, they are. I always give the most positive, empowering interpretation that I can, simply because I believe that dreams are messages from our higher selves. And I never will give a negative interpretation of a dream. I don't believe that people have dreams that are necessarily going to portend something terrible, because I believe that your actions in the present can change the potential future. Sometimes dreams, though, can be a warning, and they can urge you to check out your health, to do something in time. But that is very positive as well.
Yes.
But in terms of like, oh, somebody has a dream and somebody's going to die, or there's going to be disaster, I don't really go there, because I don't believe that the dreaming mind will give a negative scenario to people, because I believe it is your higher self pulling you forward and wanting you to, and maybe it's showing you a potential future. And if you don't like how, when you wake up, how you feel after a nightmare or something like that, it is saying, well, if you don't want that future to manifest right now, your mindset is attracting it. Change your mindset. The power is always in your present. What you do in the present attracts your future. So that's becoming my approach. I do think the mark of a dream correctly decoded is that somebody feels better about themselves, or feels empowered to do something, that they're not trapped in their head and indecision. But that's just my personal take on it, and where I've got to over the years, because I do feel that when people write to me about their dreams, I feel they're sharing a piece of their soul, and I treat it with great respect, really. And I want to show them that their inner world is their greatest friend. And sometimes it will use tough love to get you to change something or do something that you need to do that's positive for your well-being. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to scare people half to death with a dream interpretation. They won't ever want to do it again. So, yeah. But so much of it requires people's attention. So I'm really glad it's your mission to get people more interested in dreams and dream analysis and getting to know dream language. Let me ask you a question too about some people that I have worked with have had a very unusual experience with what I call the voice of an oversoul, and where they hear a voice talking from somewhere above them in a dream. What is that? What is your thought on that?
Well, according to Jung, of course, the godfather of dream interpretation, whenever you hear voices in a dream, that is your soul speaking to you. That is so important. And I think when you do hear voices in a dream, you've got to pay attention and listen, because it is your soul calling your name. It's your higher self speaking to you loud and clear. That's what I think. I think voices in dreams are top of the inbox for you. I mean, because they're categories of dreams, aren't there? And some are more memorable than others. But if you hear a voice in a dream, please do not ignore it, because your dreaming mind has resorted to that tactic. It's calling your name. Whatever it says, write it down and brainstorm. Keep on brainstorming until you get that eureka moment. That's how you know when the dream is correctly interpreted, because you will get eureka. Aha, I get it. And I tell you what, it will tell you something you don't know. Dreams love to tell you things you don't know about yourselves, rather than to confirm your biases. Dreams are always trying to make you evolve and pull you forward. So that's what I think about.
I agree. I think that's exactly. They never tell you something you already know.
No, they surprise you. They love to surprise you.
Yes.
And because, they also want to pull you out of your comfort zone, because people so fear, don't they, to fear being outside their comfort zone. But that's where you've got to go, because that's where the adventure is, isn't it? That's where the magic is. And it's difficult. we all want to curl up. But I always use the comparison of the movies and books we love, like, like I love Lord of the Rings or, Harry Potter. We wouldn't want them just stuck in the Shire or Harry Potter without Voldemort. It's the ride, it's the adventure that is memorable and sticks with us. Mm-hmm. And makes us feel things and makes us grow and learn along the way. And as tough as it is, we need all these challenges. We need to feel fear. I always say to people, do something that scares you every day. Like doing this with you two. It's scary for me.
It's really scary for all of us.
It's amazing. It is. I'm going to and just do something you fear every day, because that's how you'll grow. I don't know all the answers, but I do think the meaning of our lives is found in growth and learning. We're here to learn and grow and to find meaning in the tough times, because a lot of life is quite tough and difficult.
It is.
And what you have to do when that happens, instead of railing against misfortune, going, poor me, victim, just thinking, I've got to find meaning in this and I've got to grow braver and stronger. That's the hardest way.
Right.
That is the hardest thing when suffering strikes. It's finding meaning in that, though. And that's where dream work can help, because it reminds you again that you are not just your body. You are not just the material, the external stuff. You have an inner world. And that inner world is the source of all hope when all around you is falling.
Yes, it's so important. Now, what do you tell people who say they can't remember their dreams?
I say it happens to us all. Welcome to the club. And just imagine being me. I'm known as a dream decoder over here in the UK. The dream lady. They call me Queen of Dreams. And then I have a week where nothing. I'm waking up in the morning and whatever I do, I try. It happens. And I tell you why it happens. Often it happens when you're getting a little bit too wrapped up with externals. And I know with me, if I'm like, oh, I want to go on that program, or I want to do that, or how many copies of my book have I sold? How do I look in my social media? If all that has become too much, or, there's concerns, the external world has started to tilt the balance. And my dreaming mind is sulking. So you're not reflecting enough in the day. So what I do if that happens, if it goes on for too long, I spend more time switching off from my phone, walking in nature, daydreaming, because really that is just another way to dream. People discount the daydreaming state. Read fiction. I also do a bit of video gaming, because there's a lot of studies to show. I know this is controversial, but video gaming and dreaming go well together as long as you don't get addicted to it or do it a couple of hours before sleep, because you'll be wide awake. It's too stimulating. But think about it. When you video game, you practice going into an alternate reality. You're in the dream state. And there is a strong association. There are other tips as well. Get vitamin B. That's the dreaming vitamin. There is research to show that deficiency in vitamin B vitamins, which you can get in bananas and nuts and seeds and things like that. Go and research, especially vitamin B6. That's the dream recall vitamin. But don't take supplements unless you talk to your doctor. What else? Oh, yes. When you wake up in the morning, keep still. With your eyes closed for 1 or 2 minutes. Most of us, when we wake up, we fidget, we yawn, we stretch. That can come later. Just give yourself 2 or 3 minutes to mimic the dream state. Because I tell you what, any kind of movement, even blinking, redirects your mind, wakes you up. And as soon as you get alert, your conscious mind takes over and it brings reason and logic with it. You just want to stay in that twilight state a bit longer, where your intuition reigns supreme. So give yourself a couple of minutes. Try and keep still in the position you woke up in with your eyes closed, and then just gently see what bubbles to the surface. Sometimes I will revisit in my mind then a dream I've had from a few nights before that I can recall to activate that area of my brain. If nothing comes, I focus on how I feel, because the language of dreams is often emotion. And then as soon as something, be it a word or an image or a sensation, I immediately sit up and write it down. Because if I don't immediately do it, you will forget it. So that's another tip. And also, of course, setting the intention to dream just before you go to sleep, when your brain is very plastic, very impressionable. Those last few moments before you fall asleep are super important for programming your mind for dreams. Tell yourself you're going to dream and it's going to be fun and you're going to recall it in the morning. So those are usually the kind of tips that I give people. But I also say a little bit of meditation can help boost dream recall. I think there's been research to show that it can. And meditation doesn't have to take hours. It can just take 1 or 2 minutes where you sit quietly and you observe, but don't interact with your thoughts. You just notice your thoughts. So those are all dream recall tips that I try to give. But first of all, don't panic. It happens to us all. But also certain medication can block dream recall. So talk to your doctor. But if it doesn't happen, I don't want people to stress if they're not remembering their dreams, because stress is the enemy of dream recall. If you try and force something, anything in life, you repel it. And if dream recall isn't coming easy, daydream. Close your eyes and daydream away. As I say, it's just another way to dream. See where where you go in your mind's eye.
Well, you make it sound easy, and we know it can be, and then sometimes it can be challenging.
So, absolutely.
What about nightmares? What do you feel the purpose of nightmares is?
Well, they're extreme dreams, and basically nightmares, your dreaming mind has got to a state when it's probably been sending you the same message in a gentler way, but the butterflies and the fairies and the fields that you've been dreaming about haven't been as memorable, and you haven't pondered their meaning. So over time, it may develop into a recurring dream theme. And then if you're still not learning the message of that dream, it will erupt often into a nightmare, simply because your dreaming mind wants you to remember the dream. And it knows darn well that if it has blood and gore in the dream, if loved ones die in your dream, or you're buried alive, or you're bitten by a vampire, or whatever in the nightmare, you are going to remember it.
That one,
dreaming mind saying, yes, result. You are going to probably talk to your family about it, your therapist if you have one. Yes. And that's your dreaming mind has got the result it wants. It's woken you up to its presence. You're paying attention to it. There is a clear message there, and the message is a transformative gift. Never fear your nightmares. I know that sounds contradictory. Celebrate them, because they are offering you an opportunity to transform, because something you're doing, thinking, or feeling in your waking life is not in your best interests. You need to find out what that is, and you need to understand it. Have compassion for it, because it probably developed as a protection mechanism, but it's no longer relevant. Let it go. It's offering you an opportunity to transform. But growth hurts sometimes. Shedding skins hurts. And that's what's happening in a nightmare. I compare nightmares, actually, when you have an infection, a fever is a good sign. You needed to sweat out the toxins. And in some ways, nightmares play that role as well. They help trying to encourage you to get rid of things that are not good for you, that you need to let go. You need to forgive yourself. You need to have compassion for yourself. You need to let go. That's what a nightmare is. So actually, nightmares are really pretty positive in a way, because they're showing you're ready for your next stage of growth. It's time for you to grow, because you're not doing it.
Right.
And your dreaming mind wants you to grow some more.
Yes, it's a great way to get your attention, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. What about sleep paralysis? Now, that's an interesting occurrence, and it can be pretty scary.
It can be, and I try and urge people when it happens to stay calm, because it's a perfectly natural thing. It happens every night. We're not conscious of it. Sleep paralysis is when your body falls asleep, but your brain is still awake. You're still aware, but your body's gone to sleep. And it's basically you're just on the edge of falling into a dreaming state and a deep sleep. And it's totally natural. But as I said, most of us, when we fall asleep, we're so exhausted, we just go to sleep, and it happens without us being conscious of it. if it does happen, wow, I would love it to happen to me, because just think what you can do then. You can actually enter the dream state. You can do anything, be anything. You're almost going to become entering the lucid dreaming state. Please try and stay calm when it happens. Don't panic. Just stay calm. This is perfectly natural. Observe your body and observe what's happening in your mind. And if you carry on doing that, you can go to the next stage, which is lucid dreaming, which is knowing you're dreaming when you're dreaming. And wow, what a powerful dream state that is. I'll tell you why it's so powerful. I'm sure you know anyway, because you're so wise. But when you dream, you are being shown your unconscious beliefs about yourselves, right? That's what the dreaming mind does. It shows you your mindset, what you unconsciously believe at a deep level. Why does that matter? Because what you unconsciously believe is what you tend to attract in your waking life. Now, in our waking life, we've become brilliant at denying what we truly believe, repressing it, doing our affirmations, being positive, telling everybody we're fine, when deep down, we're not. We're not truly believing we are enough. We're not truly believing we are worthy. We're not truly believing that we deserve success. And your dreaming mind, you see, I always say dreams don't lie. They show you what you truly believe deep down. And lucid dreaming is powerful because when you are aware that you're dreaming, you know you're dreaming in a dream, you can start changing that. You can influence those unconscious beliefs. And there's a lot of research at the moment into lucid dreaming being used as a way to heal trauma, particularly with veterans, PTSD, with remarkable results when other forms of therapy weren't working, because basically they were working at this deep unconscious belief. And most of us don't really know what we truly believe about ourselves. And that's why we need dreams, you see. We need to find out about ourselves, because in our waking life, we don't go there.
And we need to have a pathway that can lead us out.
Yes.
And that's also what I think dreams do. But let me go back to the sleep paralysis. I have one more question about that. And that's when people see the old hag during sleep paralysis. Now, that happened to me once. And I woke up halfway, and there was the hag with the white flowing hair. Right on my face, and I let out a blood-curdling scream.
Yes.
Right at the time, about had a heart attack, but it was involuntary. I mean, it was just like feeling somebody was watching me, and there she was. What is that?
Well, I mean, it's the incubus and succubus attacks. I mean, you can see why people think it's demonic and everything, but what it actually is, I'm going to look at it from a scientific perspective, but from all the research.
Yes,
it's a dream. You are in a dream. It's a dream feeling so real that you're actually seeing it with your eyes open. It's just an extended dream. That's what it is.
Why do so many people around the world see the same thing? We're all seeing the same woman. Why is that? I mean, that to me
is the collective unconscious, isn't it? I mean, the Jungian archetype of the old hag, the collective unconscious. This is ingrained in our collective awareness. The I'm going to call wise woman. I won't say witch or old hag. It's the wise woman. It's the alien. These are archetypes now, which are imprinted on our collective unconscious. Mm-hmm. And when you do dream research, you realize how we are all interconnected through our dreams. That's what the wonderful thing I find about dreaming. It is about you and about your personal growth, but it also makes you realize that you are more than your body and that you are interconnected with everyone and everything. I think, shared dreaming is another fascinating area of research, when people are dreaming of each other and connecting in dreams. And I think the reason that we have these similar experiences, it's like near-death experiences, isn't it? They when people have a near-death experience, they often perceive the same things. That it's the collective unconscious that we're tapping into, and we are all one, really. We're all like drops in the ocean. We are all interconnected, and I think in the dream state you can also enter into that big universal interconnectedness.
The one thought I had about it, and believe me, I've thought about it a lot because it was such a startling experience. Have you ever had that happen, PK?
No, I had a dream all growing up through high school of my father kneeling by my bed telling me my grandmother had passed. And years later, that's exactly what happened. The church bells were ringing in the background and she passed at midnight.
So that was precognitive.
Yeah.
Afterlife. That's both afterlife and precognitive dreams. Yet time and time again. And I want everyone listening to know these experiences are the norm and not the exception.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a learning curve for me, because when I first started writing in this area, I thought I was writing for the exception. You know, when I collated these stories, it was about the gifted few, people with special abilities. But increasingly, I have moved right away from that to realizing that everybody, you talk to the majority of people, have had some kind of supernormal experience. And that's what I believe they are. They're supernormal, extraordinary experiences. Problem is, we dismiss them as random or chance or, nonsense,
right.
Imagination. I hate that. Or just a dream, which I've heard so many times.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is not. And I'm delighted to say that in recent years, particularly the last 10 years, there's a growing body of visionary scientists now researching consciousness and these experiences as data. They are data. They are part of the human experience. And the more people understand that, the more we lose our fear of it. And the more we stop putting other people on pedestals who allegedly have these abilities. Because I truly believe that we all have this ability, but what we lack is belief in it. I think there's self-belief and psychic abilities are the same, in my opinion. I think people who do make their living as psychics and mediums, etc., what they have is absolute rock solid belief in their abilities, therefore themselves. And I think actually working on self-love and self-belief, you're actually awakening psychically at the same time. Because when you have self-love and self-belief, you do make the right decisions. You do sense the future, your gut instinct that we hear more about.
Yeah, I use that phrase.
Yes.
A premonition. Do you feel that when a person gets a premonition, that is basically a awakening dream?
Yes, it is. It is awakening them to a potential future that is out there. If right now they continue thinking, feeling, acting, doing what they're currently doing, it is a potential future. I absolutely believe it is awakening them to this possibility out there. And I always compare it to, like, if you held a ball in your hand and you were going to drop the ball to the floor, the future of that ball would be on the floor. However, if at the last minute you decide to catch the ball, you change your mind and you catch the ball with your hand, you have changed the potential future of that ball, which was destined for the floor, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's what I say with premonitions. They're like that. The only way you can tell if you've had a real premonition is by what we said at the beginning of this interview, writing down your dreams, writing down your hunches, your gut instincts. You need proof. One thing I've learned with working with scientists, it's no point saying after the event, oh, I dreamt about that, because nobody will believe you. You need documented evidence. You need proof. You also need that proof to convince yourself, that you're not imagining it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to write down what your hunches are and your dreams, because you won't know if a dream is precognitive until it happens.
Yeah, and make sure you put the date on it, everybody, so that you know.
Please, yes,
Let me go back to the hag again, because I wanted to share this with you and with our audience. What I came to about this old hag, or whatever you want to call her, in my experience and looking back on that, I think she's a guardian of the other dimensions. And so when somebody like me or you or PK, when we come in contact with her, I think what we're faced with is What do we do with our fear? And if we're caught up in our fear, we can't go any further. We can't go beyond her to that next dimension. But we get stuck in, I did anyways, the terror of seeing this woman's face right in front of mine in the middle of the night. But I do believe that's what they are. They're guardians. So just my thought.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm glad you mentioned fear as well, because there's so much research. Most of the research is into intuition. That's the kind of the more acceptable word for precognition. I think it's the same thing, to be honest. Yeah. But the one thing that diminishes intuition is fear, anxiety. It's the enemy. The two just don't go together, and it's our fear, and that's what I think we all need to work on. Everyone drawn to psychic awakening is the fear of it needs to be dealt with, because as long as that fear's there, your inner precognitive psychic, it can't break through that. Right. You need to work on that fear, because when they have done tasks on intuition or precognition, the levels of anxiety correlate to how successful or unsuccessful the study is. It's really interesting.
That is. It's great that you're able to work with other neuroscientists with this, so that you can find out what's leading edge in terms of research. So what is leading edge? Do tell. What are people saying? We want to know.
Well, at the moment, in the area of dreaming, I'm saying more and more research into precognitive dreaming and dream databases, and also episodic future thinking, which is the scientific term really for imagining, visualizing the future that you want. And it's being used as a tool in schools, in prisons, in hospitals, with interesting results showing that, some visualization, episodic future thinking, precognition can really boost well-being. So I find that's where science at the moment is going into, to kind of like episodic future thinking, precognitive dreaming, channeling is a big area of research at the moment. What's happening when you kind of almost have this download of information and insight and creativity. Also, dreams is a creativity hack. That's actually entering the workplace, the world of movies. Jane Campion, for example, a movie director who has a dream expert working with her actors, especially when they need to play difficult characters, to get in touch with their shadow side. It's just the whole world's opening at the moment in terms of research in this area, and I can't believe it. It's just such a blessing that what is invisible and unseen is no longer being dismissed as all the time as pseudoscience, whereas it's starting to happen. It's still got a long way to go, but I'm seeing a big shift. There is much more willingness and openness to discuss these things. Yeah. And I think people realize that they need to, because basing your life on externals, just such an empty way to live. And we see that all the time in the media.
Very empty.
People who have everything we think we want, success, popularity, talent, the perfect relationship, everything. And yet they're still deeply unhappy, feeling empty. We see that time and time again played out, and it's not working on that inner world.
You're a slave to the external world. You're a slave to what other people think about you. You're a slave to your audience. You're a slave to all of this stuff. Whereas when you're focused from the inside, then you have your own personal power, and then you have your own universe. Absolutely.
And it's wonderful that scientists understand that the role of feelings and inner space is just as important as the outer space.
Yeah. So I guess the question to ask people is, do you want to be a slave or do you want to be free? Because if you want to be free, then you're going to want to look inside to your dream reality.
That's where it starts. I think dream work is the first acceptable step, especially for people who are new to this, or when you hear the word spiritual or psychic, they roll their eyes. Dream work is just the best gentle way in. And then you just need to get them. I always say to them, if they're skeptical, come back to me when you've had 20 dreams. I usually think, because dreams work best as a series. That's another tip. People get hung up on one dream. You need to interpret your dreams like a Netflix series you tune into every night. You know, it's an ongoing story of you.
Right.
Come back and let's talk about your dreams. And it's always amazing, because you can just see their eyes light up when you start going in deep into the dreams, the symbolism, the deeper meaning, and then looking at their dreams as a voiceover to their waking life, commenting, foreshadowing, and how it makes their waking life so much richer and more interesting. And by the end, in almost all cases, when someone has done that, they've been very skeptical and then come with me with 20 dreams. That's my mark. I want 20 dreams from you. No good just one or two. We need 20 to see this
really good.
Work with them. They're hooked, and often they're hooked for life. You know,
good.
I love that.
You've done your job. That's wonderful. Well, unfortunately, we only have a few minutes left, Theresa. But now, how can people get in touch with you? What is the best way to do that?
Thank you. I've written so many books, so I'm not a serial killer. I'm a serial writer. I have been writing since the late 1990s, and I have three titles coming out this year. I'm very blessed, as I said, but it's a reflection of the growing interest in this. My website is www.theresacheung.com. I'm on @the Theresa Cheung on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page and a page on X.
That's excellent. Do you do private practice work at this point?
No, I'm really an author, a commentator, and researcher in this area. But no, I don't do private practice. But if people message me, I always try to answer. I can't not. It's just something I feel drawn to do, and that gives me more joy actually, because people personally reached out, and I always try. Sometimes it takes a while. It depends, especially like around Halloween. Or New Year, or World Dream Day, which is becoming like Christmas Day for dreams for me. I've done some wonderful things on World Dream Day.
That's great.
September the 25th.
Well, we've got a lineup for that one. I had no idea. But we are going to have you back in October for the debut of your new book. So we're planning on that.
I've got two. I've got one coming out with HarperCollins called The Dream Cure, which is about using dreams for healing. And then I have one coming out with Omara Books, which is hauntings. I've written about ghosts.
Well, I'm going to have you back twice then. Once for the dream.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't asking. I was just saying.
Hauntings. Well, you're
going to enjoy staying up.
Yes.
Haunted person syndrome.
Yes, they'll just turn you into a night owl one way or another.
Well, it should be my time, isn't it? Actually, you're taking away from my dreaming time. Go away.
It's part of your dream.
You can take a nap tomorrow.
We are now your dream allies. You can call on us anytime.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do. I love what you do. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Theresa. And
it was a delight.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for staying up so late. And we'll be talking to you again very soon. I can't wait. This has been great.
I can't wait either. And sweet dreams, everyone, please.
Yeah,
definitely.
And next week, everybody, we are going to be coming back with another great show. We are going to be talking to another person from the UK who will be staying up late with us. And we're going to be talking about the UK Roswell UFO case. So don't miss it, everybody. And until then, we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Good night.